You wake up each morning with that familiar emptiness, that subtle yet persistent feeling that something is missing, even when your life appears perfectly organized on the surface. You've secured the job, built relationships, perhaps even started a family, yet you find yourself asking, is this all there is? Is this what I'm here for? This silent questioning accompanies you in your most solitary moments, when the day's distractions fade and you find yourself face to face with your own existence. You are not alone. Millions of people live exactly as you do, following routines that seem devoid of meaning, accumulating possessions that bring no lasting satisfaction, chasing goals that, when achieved, provide only a fleeting moment of joy before the emptiness returns. In a world obsessed with happiness, we've made a dangerous mistake. We've been taught that if we're not happy, something must be wrong with us. That happiness should be our default state, and anything else represents failure. But what if this pursuit of happiness is precisely what's making us miserable? What if our modern obsession with feeling good is actually preventing us from living well? This is the dangerous insight that Viktor Frankl discovered through the most horrific circumstances imaginable: the pursuit of happiness, a path to nowhere. The accumulation of pleasure will never fill the void. What you truly seek, what we all desperately yearn for, is meaning, a significance that transcends the inevitable suffering of life. Viktor Frankl wasn't just another academic theorizing from an ivory tower. He was a man who stared into the darkest abyss of human experience and emerged with profound wisdom. As a Jewish psychiatrist in Vienna during the Nazi regime, Frankl was deported to multiple concentration camps, including Auschwitz, where he lost his pregnant wife, his parents, and nearly his own life. It was within this hell on earth that Frankl made a discovery that would transform not only his life, but the lives of millions who would later read his work. He observed something remarkable. Among his fellow prisoners, those who maintained some sense of meaning in their suffering were the ones most likely to survive. It wasn't the physically strongest or the most resourceful, but those who found purpose even in the most purposeless situation. This insight became the foundation of logotherapy. Frankl's approach to psychotherapy centered on the human search for meaning, while Freud proposed that humans are driven primarily by pleasure, and Adler suggested we are motivated by power. Frankl maintained that our deepest motivation is the will to meaning. He recognized that in our modern world, many of us suffer not from the harsh physical conditions he endured, but from an existential vacuum, a profound sense of emptiness and meaninglessness that plagues our comfortable lives. The dangerous truth that Frankl discovered is that this void isn't something to run from, it's something to recognize and address directly. The existential vacuum isn't a pathology or disease. It's a sign of our humanity, a reflection of our unique capacity to question our existence. Unlike animals who operate on instinct alone, humans need a reason to live. We need meaning. And when we lack it, no amount of pleasure, power, or distraction can compensate. This void manifests in countless ways in our modern society. Look around and you'll see it everywhere: in the epidemic of substance abuse, in our obsession with endless entertainment, in the compulsive pursuit of material wealth, in the restless changing of jobs, relationships, and locations. These are all attempts to escape the feeling that something essential is missing. We fill our calendars with activities and our homes with possessions, hoping that somehow the sheer volume will compensate for the lack of depth. We scroll endlessly through social media, consuming fragments of others' lives in an attempt to forget the emptiness in our own. We adopt ideologies and causes without truly examining them, desperate for something, anything, to give our lives structure and purpose. But here's the paradox: the more desperately we try to escape the void through pleasure and distraction, the more pronounced it becomes. The more we avoid confronting our existential questions, the louder they echo in the silent moments. This is the true danger, not the void itself, but our refusal to acknowledge it. Consider the person who realizes at 40, 50, or 60 years old that they've spent their entire life chasing someone else's definition of success. They did everything society told them would bring fulfillment, climbed the corporate ladder, bought the large house, acquired the status symbols, only to discover an emptiness that none of these achievements can fill. Or consider the retiree who, after decades of defining themselves by their profession, suddenly faces days without structure or purpose. The void that was always present but masked by busyness now becomes glaringly apparent. These moments of crisis occur precisely because we've spent years ignoring the existential questions that demand our attention. Frankl would suggest that this void is not something to be feared but embraced. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you, it's evidence of your humanity. The capacity to feel this emptiness is the same capacity that allows you to discover profound meaning. The awareness of the void is the first step toward filling it off energetically, rather than numbing it temporarily. But how do we fill this void? According to Frankl, meaning can be discovered in three primary ways: through what we give to the world, through what we take from the world in terms of experiences, and through the attitude we adopt toward unavoidable suffering. Let's explore each of these paths to meaning. First, we find meaning through creative work or deeds, through what we uniquely contribute to the world. This doesn't necessarily mean creating great art or making scientific breakthroughs. It could be as simple as the care you put into your work, regardless of what that work is. It could be raising children with love and attention. It could be volunteering in your community or creating something that brings beauty or function to others' lives. The key is that it involves giving something of yourself to the world. I once met a hospital janitor who approached his work with remarkable purpose. When asked about his job, he didn't describe cleaning floors or emptying trash. Instead, he explained that his role was to create an environment where healing could happen, where patients could feel cared for and dignified, where doctors and nurses could focus on saving lives without worrying about infection or disarray. This man had transformed what many would consider a mundane job into a meaningful mission. He wasn't just cleaning a hospital, he was contributing to the healing of the sick and the comfort of the suffering. This is what Frankl means by finding meaning through our contributions. The second path to meaning is through experiencing something or someone we value, through what we receive from the world. This includes our experiences of beauty, truth, love, and nature. It's about truly seeing another person, appreciating art that moves us, immersing ourselves in natural wonders, or engaging with ideas that expand our understanding. These experiences can fill our lives with meaning when we approach them with full presence and openness. Consider the profound meaning people find in deep relationships. When you truly see another person, not as an object or a means to an end, but as a unique individual with their own inner world, you participate in one of the most meaningful experiences available to humans. This is why love can be such a powerful source of meaning. It's not just about the pleasant feelings of romance. It's about the profound experience of connecting with another, consciousness of knowing and being known. The third path to meaning, and perhaps the most counterintuitive, is through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. Frankl was clear that we should not seek out suffering. There is enough unavoidable pain in life without adding to it unnecessarily. However, when suffering cannot be avoided, we still have the freedom to choose our attitude toward it. This is perhaps the most radical aspect of Frankl's philosophy, forged in the crucible of the concentration camps. Even when everything else is taken from us, we retain the freedom to choose our response to our circumstances. Frankl tells the story of an elderly doctor who came to him for therapy. The man was in deep depression following the death of his beloved wife 2 years earlier. Frankl asked him, what would have happened if you had died first and your wife had been left without you? The doctor replied that it would have been terrible for her. She would have suffered tremendously. Frankl then pointed out, you see, doctor, such suffering has been spared her, and it is you who have spared her this suffering, though at the price of surviving and mourning her. The doctor's grief was transformed when he saw it as the price of sparing his wife similar pain. His suffering took on meaning, and his depression gradually lifted. This doesn't mean that suffering itself is good or desirable. It means that our response to unavoidable suffering can be a source of profound meaning and personal growth. The mother who channels her grief over a lost child into creating support systems for other bereaved parents. The cancer patient who uses their experience to bring comfort to others with the same diagnosis. The person who emerges from trauma with greater compassion and wisdom. These are all examples of finding meaning in circumstances that cannot be changed. What makes Frankl's approach so powerful is that meaning is always available to us, regardless of our external circumstances. You don't need extraordinary talent, exceptional luck, or perfect conditions to live a meaningful life. Meaning is not contingent on happiness, success, or comfort. It's available in the midst of failure, limitation, and suffering. This is what allowed prisoners in concentration camps to endure unimaginable horror with dignity, the knowledge that even then, they could choose their response. They could show kindness to a fellow prisoner. They could maintain inner integrity when all external freedom was gone. But here's where many of us go wrong. We wait for meaning to find us. We expect it to arrive fully formed, a perfect mission statement for our lives. In reality, meaning isn't something we find like a hidden treasure. It's something we discover through living deliberately, through committing to people and purposes beyond ourselves. Meaning emerges from engagement, not contemplation alone. Think of it this way: meaning is like a horizon. It orients us and gives us direction. But it's not a destination we can reach once and for all. It's something we move toward throughout our lives, discovering and rediscovering in different forms as we grow and change. The question, "What is the meaning of my life?" doesn't have a single, static answer. It's a question we answer through our choices each day, through what we value, what we commit to, and how we respond to life's challenges. This understanding liberates us from the paralysis that often accompanies existential questioning. We don't need to know the ultimate meaning of life to live meaningfully today. We simply need to respond authentically to the meaning opportunities that present themselves in our unique circumstances. The danger of seeing the existential void that nobody else sees isn't in the seeing itself. The danger lies in two potential responses: either denying the void exists and numbing ourselves through distraction and pleasure-seeking, or becoming paralyzed by the enormity of the question, unable to move forward without a comprehensive answer. The healthy response, the response that leads to growth and fulfillment, is to acknowledge the void while engaging fully with life, allowing meaning to emerge through our actions, experiences, and attitudes. If you're feeling this void now, know that you're not broken, you're not failing at life. You're experiencing what makes you human, the awareness that you need more than pleasure and comfort to thrive. You need meaning. And the path to meaning begins with the courage to acknowledge the void rather than running from it. Start by asking yourself, what responsibilities are uniquely yours? Who depends on you? What work allows you to contribute something valuable, regardless of whether it's recognized or rewarded? What experiences move you to awe, gratitude, or joy? How might your unique suffering give you insights or capabilities that can serve others? These questions don't have universal answers. They have your answers, emerging from your unique life circumstances. Remember that meaning isn't something you create out of nothing. It's something you discover by responding to what life asks of you. As Frankl wrote, life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. Your life is questioning you through its demands and opportunities. How will you answer? The person who sees the void has actually received a gift, the opportunity to live with greater authenticity and purpose than those who remain distracted throughout their lives. The void is calling you to something deeper. It's inviting you to move beyond merely existing to truly living, beyond consuming to creating, beyond self-absorption to self-transcendence. What if the emptiness you feel isn't evidence of something missing from your life, but of something missing from our collective understanding of what makes life worth living? What if your discomfort with meaninglessness is actually a compass pointing you toward a more authentic way of being in the world? As you go forward from this moment, remember that you're not alone in this experience. The greatest minds throughout history have wrestled with these same questions. The void you're facing has been faced by countless others who have gone on to live lives of profound meaning and impact, not despite their awareness of the void, but because of it. Their confrontation with emptiness became the catalyst for creating lives of significance. So, today, I invite you to make a small but significant shift. Instead of asking what do I want from life, begin asking what does life want from me. Instead of focusing solely on what will make you happy, consider what responsibilities are uniquely yours to fulfill. As you orient yourself toward meaning rather than mere pleasure, you may find that happiness arrives not as the thing you pursued, but as the byproduct of a life lived with purpose. If what I've shared today resonates with something deep within you, if you've recognized this existential void we've been discussing, know that you're not alone on this journey. Many of us have spent years seeking answers in places that could never truly satisfy us. Viktor Frankl's wisdom isn't just a distant theory. It's a practical path to transform your suffering into purpose, your emptiness into meaning. This channel exists as a space where we explore these fundamental questions of human existence together, where we discover how to live authentically meaningful lives, even when facing difficult circumstances. If you wish to continue this journey of self-discovery, if you're ready to explore how to find meaning in the small and large struggles of your daily life, subscribe to the channel now. Each week, we share new perspectives, practical tools, and profound reflections inspired not only by Frankl, but by all wisdom traditions that help us find purpose. I don't promise easy answers or instant solutions, but rather an honest and transformative path, supported by ideas that have survived the worst conditions humanity has ever faced. Click the subscribe button, activate the notification bell, and let's walk together in this search for meaning that can transform your suffering into something profoundly significant. You don't need to carry this void alone. We're here, week after week, exploring together what truly matters.